The first one is a biggie because this is the verb to table. So of course, you know table as a noun, like a table, but the verb to table is a very important business English verb. Now, to table has opposite meanings in the USA and the UK. This is crazy. So you really have to know who you're speaking with. So to table something in British English means you're going to introduce it for discussion. So if you want to introduce a topic, you're going to table a topic. Now, the opposite meaning in American English is to table something, meaning we can't discuss it now, we'll postpone it, we'll discuss it later. So be very careful. Again, tune your ear in to your colleagues, your clients. If you don't know, okay, they're from Chicago or they're from York, if you don't know where they're from, if they work for global teams, if you're using table or they say table, then I would just go through and add a little bit more explanation because it could mean two separate things, like opposite things. Okay, next one is in the UK and the USA. The UK, when someone takes notes for a meeting, the notes for a meeting are called minutes on both sides of the pond. Now, the pond is what we call the Atlantic, if you didn't know that. So minutes are the notes from a meeting. Everyone knows that. Fine. But the person taking the notes or the minutes in British English is a minute taker, whereas the person taking the notes in American English would be either a secretary or a note taker. Next one is also a big one. You don't want to mix this up. So this is about scheduling. So you have diary is in British English, and diary means something completely different in American English. When it comes to scheduling or your work or your calendar or your planner, in American English, you want to say calendar or planner. I'll put that in my calendar. I'll put that in my planner. Don't say diary. Diary is for, like teenage girls writing, today at school, this happened. This boy liked me. Diary is not for business at all. It's more of a personal journal, and it's usually used by younger people, usually women or young teenagers. So don't use diary in business English. In American English, you want to use calendar or planner. Diary is perfectly fine in British English. Okay, next one is a fortnight. Now, fortnight, not the video game. Fortnight means 2 weeks in British English. There's no word for it in American English. So if you say fortnight in Philadelphia, they're not going to know what you're speaking about. So fortnight is only used for British English. Otherwise, you just say 2 weeks. Okay, next up is timing and scheduling. This is another big one. It's bi-weekly. I'm sure you've already are using bi-weekly. Your teams use bi-weekly. Now, bi-weekly can be confusing in both the UK and the USA. 80% of the time, bi-weekly means every 2 weeks in the USA, in the UK. However, 20% of the times, it can also mean twice a week. So this is totally confusing. This is not a British American thing. This is confusing across the board. Across the board means in all categories. So this is a really hard one. So it could mean twice a week or twice a month. So unless people are already using bi-weekly and you see it in your schedule that, okay, it's Tuesday, Thursday, keep using it because your teams use it. Or again, your colleagues are using bi-weekly and you see in your schedule that it's going to be every 14 days, then use bi-weekly. That's fine. But if you don't know and there's no scheduling, I'd avoid using it. Just say twice a week or twice a month. Another one would be time. Now, here it doesn't matter. You can say whatever you want. There's no wrong or right here at all. If you say the British way in America, they'll understand you. If you say the American way in England, they'll understand you. It doesn't matter. But in the UK, they'll say 5:30 or 5:45. And whereas in American English and North American English, we'll say 5:30 or 4:45. Doesn't matter. They're all totally the same. And the next one is official days off. Now, in the UK, they have a bank holiday. This is when there's a Friday or a Monday or a public holiday off work. Usually it's a Friday or Monday. And then that long weekend, so it's not just Saturday, Sunday, but you have Saturday, Sunday, Monday off would be a bank long weekend. Whereas in North America and American English, we say a public holiday for that day off, and then we call it just simply a long weekend. Okay, next up is workplace and HR terms. This is a short one, but this is really important. First one is CV or resume. I'm sure most of you are familiar with CV. However, in North America, we don't use CV. It's very uncommon. We say resume, and there's an accent on the E. So CV, resume, exact same thing. There's no difference. One thing that's important to note, though, is in North America, you do not put your picture on your resume. Whereas in the UK and parts of Europe, some places do accept it, but it's very uncommon for people to put a photo on their resume. Another one is if you lose your job. So sack is when they say leave and you're kicked out of the company. And that's British English. Or you can be made redundant. And made redundant means you weren't sacked because you did something wrong or you weren't performing. They just didn't have money for you or didn't have work for you. In the United States, it's fire. So you're fired, I got fired, or you're laid off. And you're laid off is the same as redundant. It just means the company does not have a position for you anymore or cannot pay for you anymore. And the next one is when you're missing work. So a holiday tends to be more common in British English and vacation in American English. You can mix them up. It doesn't matter. Everyone uses both. But standard in the UK, holiday, vacation in the United States. And if you are off work because you're ill, you go to your doctor and you'll get a sick note. That's British English, and a doctor's note in American English. Okay, next up is everyday business English, or just everyday terms which you can use in business English. First one in the United Kingdom, they can say solicitor or attorney, whereas in the United States and North America, we tend to say lawyer a lot more often. Next one is about a phone. So of course you've heard mobile, and that's, or mobile phone, and cell, and that's cell phone. I mean, cell phone is used in North America, mobile is used in England and in Australia and New Zealand. However, everyone just says phone now because everyone's phone is a mobile phone or a cell phone. So you can just say phone, it doesn't matter. Next one, there's a little bit of pronunciation differences here. Of course, there's a different accent between the UK and North America, fine. But usually the stress is pretty similar and there's not a lot of differences, but there is a difference in pronunciation stress with this one. So in the United Kingdom, they say advertisement, advertisement, and advertisement, or shortened to an advert. Whereas in the United States, it's an advertisement, and that's shortened to ad. Next one, I'm sure you've noticed this a lot shopping online. It's a trolley in British English, whereas we have a cart in North American or American English. When you're shopping online, add to cart, add to cart. Very rarely you'll see online add to trolley, but it is there. And again, American English tends to be the global standard, especially in doing business. Next one, I mean, it's not really a business word, but if you do travel for work, you need to know this vocabulary. In the United Kingdom, a toilet or a loo is where you need to use the washroom or go to the toilet. So a toilet or a loo is pretty standard in British English, whereas in the USA or North America, restroom, washroom, or bathroom are all very similar. When you travel throughout Europe or parts of Asia, you'll see WC. We don't use that in English. I know it's from water closet in English, but we don't use that in English. So don't even say WC because we don't use it. And it doesn't mean a lot to many people. And the last one is for transportation. So the UK is underground, and the tube, that's specific to London. The USA would be subway. Some cities say metro, like Washington says metro, but subway is pretty much the standard. Okay, now to finance and numbers. Okay, when it comes to physical money in the UK, that physical money, the paper money, is a note, whereas that physical paper money in the United States is a bill. Now, if you want to talk about having £1 or $1, you call that a quid in British English, whereas that's called a buck in American English. When you're at a restaurant and you're finished eating and you want to pay and you want to go, in the UK, they'll say bill, please. Whereas in North America, we say check, please. And you can even do this. Just do a little check mark on your hand, and that means bring me the check, please. And just, that's all you do. You don't even have to talk. And check, they'll bring it to you. So bill, check, same thing. Again, if you use check in in Britain, they'll understand you. And if you use bill in North America, they'll understand you. That's fine. These next ones, you can't use one of these in America. So another name for zero in British English is not. And this is not common and not used. I made a joke there. But it's different spelling, same pronunciation as not, N-O-T, but of course, different spelling. So this is not at all used in North America. So not could mean zero in British English, or we just say zero. Of course, you can use zero in Britain. They'll understand you perfectly. Don't use not in North America. They'll have a hard time. Unless they've traveled a lot, they won't know what it means. And the last one is the UK tends to say triple a lot. And we don't say triple a lot so much in North America. So if I have a really long number, I can say 4, 2, 2, 6. Whereas in British English, 4, 2, 2, 6. But if I have a 222 in there, we tend not to say 222 in North America. I don't know why. There's no reason. You can use it. People will understand you. But if there's a triple number in the UK, they tend to say it a lot more than we do in North America. Okay, now we're looking at some style differences. This includes spelling, punctuation, and date formatting. So this is pretty big. I mean, this could be a lesson of its own, but I'm just going to touch some surface key issues here. So first of all, spelling in the United Kingdom and the United States is a little bit different. When a word has an S in it at the very end, like organize or prioritize, or organization. In the United Kingdom, they'll use that an S. The North American English or American English will use a Z. Center in British English or theater in British English would be RE, whereas those same words in American English would be ER. Next would be color or favorite. And in British English, it is O. There is an OU in there, whereas in American English, there's only an O. Interesting point is Canadians, I am Canadian, we sound American, but we spell British. So a lot of Canadians understand how to spell in British English, and then they sound and pronounce like Americans. It's interesting. The next one is date formatting. This is a tricky one. So most of the world goes day, month, year. It's very logical. However, North America, Canada, and the United States, and I'm not sure if other regions do it, but those two for sure, they'll go month, day, year. So if you're dealing with global teams, always write the month out. So don't write 12/7/2025 if you mean July 12th, 2025, because someone could see it as December 7th, 2025. So I would just always, if you're dealing with global teams, dealing across borders, just write the month out 100%. And then there's no area for misunderstanding there. And the last one is punctuation. So interesting, we have a thing called an Oxford comma in American English. And an Oxford comma is from Oxford. However, they do not use it in the UK very commonly. So this is when you're listing multiple things. I went to the store and I picked up a pen, comma, some paper, comma, and an eraser. So before the end, I'll put a comma in there. And that's called an Oxford comma. That is not at all standard to use in British punctuation. I find that Americans do use punctuation a lot more than British. It's interesting, but we do. So Oxford comma is pretty standard in American English. Just tuning your ear into some subtle differences, or again, the pronunciation of advertisement or advertisement, and tuning your ear into what people are saying and how they're speaking. Then you can kind of identify what English they've learned or what English they're learning, and then you can use that and adapt accordingly. I hope you found this helpful. I'm going to include in the comments of this video a big PDF you can download all of these notes for you. Thanks so much for watching. If you did enjoy my video, I encourage you to please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.